Hey everybody, Chip Towers of DogNation.com, back here with you for the Marco's Pizza Towers Take, brought to you by Marco's Pizza, America's #1 pizza company. Uh, Thank you so much to Marco's for that, and thank you so much to you guys for being here. Sorry we moved it up a little bit today. I had to, actually having to kind of sneak this in between practice viewing, which I just recently just came up and just sort of rat-a-tatted out a real fast practice observations, which you should be able to read now on DogNation.com or on your handy app. Because if you're really with it, I know you will have the DogNation app on your smartphone at this point. But I'll answer a lot of the questions that you may or may not have. They released the G-Day rosters today. That information is on Dog Nation, as you might imagine. Um, the simple way to explain the roster division is the #1 offense is the red team this year. I think it might have been the black team last year, though I can't remember which one was the #1 offense. And then the #1 defense is essentially the red team, and then vice versa for the #2. So Jake Fromm will lead the red offense, and I expect it to be a pretty good offense. I expect Georgia to have a good offense, period, this year, and I expect that offense to look good on Saturday. Pardon me for looking down. I'm trying to get your comments up in here. I definitely want to take your comments um, today. Let's see if we've got those coming in now. Yeah, we do. Hey, Larry, Eli. Let's see who is first here. I know that's so important to you guys. Let's see. Um, who was number? No, when I do that, it doesn't. Trying to see who was #1 in the clubhouse. Won't be able to do that, but I can say hello to Tony Porter and Levante Peterson, William Gray Jr. Um, Chip, I think we'll hear Fields to Holloman a lot Saturday. Says Willie Gray Jr. Holloman, man, he looks good to me. I was just thinking to myself, I did as a possible note, and I don't think I really used this in the practice report, but I like Georgia's wide receiver squad. I really do. I think they're a good looking bunch, both physically and certainly from an experience standpoint. And you'll read this in the practice report, but Terry Godwin was out there and he was going through drills during the 10-minute observation period that us media types get. But he looked pretty gimpy. He has an actual reinforced brace. When I say reinforced brace, has some metal that runs up the side of it uh, on one of his knees. I can't remember if it's left or right, so I don't want to get it wrong. But he actually has sleeves on both knees and just looks a little gimpy. And DeAndre Swift has a groin injury. I'm trying to think. Mark Webb was not out there, the cornerback who suffered some sort of knee injury on Tuesday. My information and my intel, I mean, I'm not writing sources and all that kind of stuff. I exchange text with a person in the know, is that it's not serious. There's some reports out there that he suffered a serious knee injury on Tuesday. We're going to see Kirby after practice today. Be sure to tune back into Dog Nation, and we'll have a post-practice report from Kirby Smart. And I'm sure he'll give us more about it, but I'm hearing it's not as serious as it says. Yeah, Danny Smith has said he's going to try to make it to G-Day. Hey, at this point, if you hadn't made up your mind, you probably ought to make up your mind. Look, there's going to be I was able to find out from Josh Brooks today. He is their internal operations chief at Georgia, and he said that they're going to have 78,000 seats. There's not going to be any egress on the west end where all the construction is going on, so everything's on the side, and they're going to give you passes coming in. Gates open at 1, the game's at 4, but they're going to want people there early because essentially, guys, this is a general admission scenario. So, really, if you want a good seat, you're probably going to have to get there early. I would imagine. They will have some entertainment for you. The alumni game so skillfully called by Bobby Poss. That sounds a little more like Vince Dooley, but Bobby Poss will be calling that game. This was interesting. I actually saw this note from Mark Weiser of the Athens Banner Herald. I'm going to have to independently verify it, but that Mohamed Massaquoi, who lost all but two fingers on one of his hands in a horrible ATV accident, is actually down to play in the game. So that'll be a cool thing. I hope he does, and I hope he's able to play. Let's see. How do you think they will let Fields show off his running ability Saturday? Oh, this is Willie Gregg, and I'm sorry. Willie's got some good questions, so I'm not ignoring everybody else. But they won't. I mean, they will to some degree, but that's the problem with these type of scrimmages. I mean, it's going to be no contact to very, very low contact for the quarterbacks. And that's a lot of Justin Fields' game, is using his legs, but they will probably blow the whistle pretty quick for sacks. And that means kind of any kind of contact. Plus, I think Georgia's offense is really, really good and might be able to really move the ball. So maybe for saving face sake, they might be quick on that. Richard Smith says came over from YouTube. Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. I don't mean to ignore you guys that are tuning in on YouTube and on Twitter. I'm looking at you on an iPad here today for your comments and questions. Nikki Nunley pronounces that the Nunleys will be there, and a lot of people are going to be there. My family will be there actually, so they're gonna take it in, and there's a lot to see. I mean, certainly. Spring games, more than anything else, inter-squad games, are about quarterbacks. They always have been. I fully expect Justin Fields to look good, and there's a couple of reasons for that. I mean, they typically, they don't throw a lot of razzle dazzle in there. Defenses don't do a whole lot of disguising coverages or blitzing and that kind of thing. I think you saw this a little bit to some extent in the orange and blue game, or whatever the Florida Gators call theirs. These games can largely be orchestrated by whatever the coaches want to show, and if they want to put on a show, and I'm sure they want Justin Fields to look good. And if you remember last year, Jake Fromm looked really good in the G-Day game, very, very good. But of course, generally you're not going. Well, I mean, it's not generally you're not going against as good as competition on the defensive side of the ball. Of course, you don't have as good of a front. And the red team is loaded offensively. The defensive, the black team is the defensive team, and as we've written about as ad nauseum this spring, Georgia's defense is dealing with a lot of depth issues and injuries. There's a story on Dog Nation about that today, missing a lot of key players. And then, of course, the game will be on ESPN, so. There should be a lot of eyeballs on this game, and we'll talk to Kirby about it after practice. But I'm eager to see kind of what kind of a show, if anything, that Kirby plans on putting on. Any kind of wrinkles, any kind of interesting things like that. Sony Michel and Nick Chubb were out at practice today, and so were Javon Wims. They'll be involved some way, shape, or form, whether that's as celebrity coaches or something. I don't know. I know Nick Chubb's going to be signing autographs at the bookstore, and of course Brandon Adams and our Dog Nation daily podcast team will be all over the place. Brandon's going to be out at the RV park. Before the game. He and I are supposed to get together at some time before the game and bring you a bit of a preview. He'll be in the bookstore after the game, him and Jeff Sentell, as per normal for a game. So, some questions about where it's going to show. And it's on the main ESPN channel. Georgia and Alabama were the only two teams, and probably deservedly so, considering how 2017 went. To be on the ESPN's main channel for their spring game. The rest of them are on the SEC network. There might be one or two of them the Deuce or ESPNU or something like that. Yeah, hey, how you doing? There's Nager Yang. Um, yeah, Petey Wheatstraw goes. He goes, holy shit, ESPN won. This is big time, baby. Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you play for the national championship. A lot of things change. There it is. It took a while. I don't have a Zamir White bell, but maybe I should come up with one. A la Ben Cleveland. Chris Johnson says, how does Zamir look? Zamir White looks incredibly good. I'm just talking about from the standpoint that physically, we've all talked about and we've quoted players and everything talking about how impressive he is physically. But I mean, he's running around pretty good. It's really kind of amazing. I mean, he's not going to play in the G-Day game, and I'd be surprised if he plays in the first game of the year. But his recovery is going really, really well. He is moving very good. Tuesday, I guess it was, they had full pads practice, and they were going through these ball security drills. And if you see how Georgia works their ball security drills, they're very intense. They're running through bags. They got players yelling at them. I mean, coaches yelling at them and slapping at the ball with their fist, with boxing gloves, with dummies, and they have to run through kind of an obstacle course, and they always have to dive at the end of it like you're diving for a touchdown. It's a pretty rigorous drill that they do. And Zamir White, right there, you're seeing high school highlights from Scotland High, was doing everything, and including the big dive onto the pad. They got a big pad, like a gymnastics landing pad that they land on. He was doing everything. So I don't think there's any question you're going to see Zamir White this fall. The question would be when. Of course, Saturday is what's on tap right now, and I think you're going to see an awful lot of Elijah Holyfield and Brian Harrion, certainly, and then Prather Hudson and the kid from what's his name, Ian Donald McIntyre from Whitewater High School in Fayetteville, walk-on tailback, sophomore, 5'10", 207. Good-looking player. Wears number 33. Pretty thick guy. I could see him getting some fullback reps this year. And Georgia has a lot of other tailbacks, but yeah, that guy right there, number 13, who Mark LeBlanc is showing you some highlights of now, I think will be kind of your featured back for the game, and deservedly so. He's had a great spring. Hope you've read the stories that we've put up about him up there. Defensively, it looks like Tay Crowder and Jawan Taylor are with the number one defense at inside linebacker. Now, we've written a lot about Monty Rice, and he's had a great spring, and obviously we had first opportunity to visit with him Tuesday night, and I wrote a story on him that you can still read on Dog Nation on Wednesday. What a story Monty Rice has, not just in how he got to Georgia, but his background story, his family, and everything else. Go there and read about it. But Georgia's got some good options at inside linebacker. That's going to be a big position for him. Obviously, big turnover at outside linebacker as well, but I think they're well manned there. With Walter Grant, DeAndre Walker, and those guys. Robert Beal has actually earned some praise here this spring. Let's see who else we got. And I might not be able to hang with you too long. I've got writing responsibilities, and I definitely don't want to miss Kirby Smart post practice today. But I agree with Dylan Bland here. He says Holyfield is a beast, and never minding his biceps, which seem to get all the attention. He's bears a striking resemblance to his father, Evander Holyfield, both facially and structurally. He's 5'10", 200. What are they got him listed at? He's listed at 5'10", 5'11", 215. That's probably right. I wouldn't be surprised if he's 220 or 225 right now. Very Chubb-esque. If you read his comments from the other day, Chubb is a big motivation for him, both on the field and in the weight room, where he's tried to match a lot of his stuff. And he says, ask Chubb. He said, I can hang with him on some stuff. So, yeah, real deal Holyfield. And I heard Sandra Goldman on 680 The Fan earlier today trying to get it going, calling it the real deal backfield or real deal in the backfield, something like that. But I think certainly Elijah Holyfield and Brian Herrien are good backs, great backs, maybe by their own right. DeAndre Swift with a groin injury, I'm not sure if any or how much they'll try to get him work on Saturday. And let's face it, guys. I mean, the G Day at the end of the day, as much as you want to put on a show for recruits and recruiting, and for the 78,000 fans that I expect to be there on Saturday, based on the information I've gotten, you still got to protect your best players, and especially if they got anything going on, like DeAndre Swift does with a groin, like Terry Godwin does with, apparently a minor knee situation, and he's dealt with a minor knee situation. Anybody who runs and cuts as much as those guys do always are dealing with some sort of malady or another. So let's see if I can get some more questions here. Hit me up with some if you got them. Zachary Ringel brings up the touchdown in the Florida game, and that's as impressive a run as you'll ever see, because it featured everything. If you go back and look at, I think it was maybe 12 minutes or so. It's very early in the fourth quarter against Florida. Georgia's up 35-0. He has a 39-yard touchdown run, but it featured a jump stop at the line of scrimmage, a jump cut, they call it. He had to jump and pull a leg out of the way to get out of the way of a penetrating defensive lineman, misses that guy, breaks a tackle at the line of scrimmage, then outruns the second level of pursuit, and then dives into the end zone. It's really all four traits that you look for in an SEC level tailback, and Elijah Holyfield has them. And as he talked about the other night, he's just been waiting for his opportunity, and whenever he gets an opportunity, he's going to do the best he can. His teammates say he has one speed, and that's hard. Petey Wheatstraw wants to know if I'm as stoked about Tyler Clark this season as he is. I don't know how stoked you are. You were probably more stoked than me. But I do share your observation that Tyler Clark is a exceptional defensive tackle, certainly along the lines of Trent Thompson. In fact, he started more games at that three-technique tackle than did Trent Thompson, though Trent was a little banged up a lot of the time, and they rotated liberally. That's the issue. It's not the front line of Georgia's defensive front. It's really the total number that is the issue, and that'll be noticeable probably during G-Day. I have another story up on Dog Nation right now. You can go read about the depth issues on the defensive side of the ball, both in the defensive front and in the secondary, and I think that'll be noticeable Saturday. So I expect generally about the G-Day game a high-scoring affair. I think the defenses will have a hard time stopping the offenses. Again, though, the outcome will be whatever the coaches want it to look like. I mean, they can run a lot of vanilla stuff if they don't want the offense to show up the defense, or there's a lot of levers that coaches can pull to make this work out like they want. Terrell Oliver calls it the real deal Swift backfield. You can't redshirt your number 2 quarterback. People still having conversations about Justin Fields and redshirting. That's not going to happen. You got to have 2 quarterbacks, not only ready to play, but you got to be playing that other guy. He can't, just all of a sudden come off the bench if you need him in a pinch situation. Now, Stetson Bennett, you've all heard nothing but profuse praise for Stetson Bennett. I wouldn't be surprised if in some way, shape, or forms he might be, the de facto number 2 quarterback. But I don't want to say. I mean, Justin Fields is just an unbelievable spec, and I think he's a really, really good player. And while we're getting late in this thing, I forgot to mention till now, so I hope there's a lot of you guys on here. Take advantage of this, and you can take advantage of it tonight. You may have heard Brandon mention this before, but Marco's Pizza, which sponsors this and a lot of things on Dog Nation, but sponsors Towers Take here on Facebook Live, has that XL Big Pizza, extra large, the Boss cheese pizza for $10.99. And if you put the promo code in, go there. It's great. Use their website, order things, put in the promo code HD5092, and you can get that for $10.99. And I'm talking about extra large, big pizza. And there's like 4 or 5 different cheeses on it. Yeah, if you're like my kids, you love that cheese pizza, and I don't mind ordering it because I'll just take meat out of my own refrigerator and put it on there and meat it up. That's a great deal, though. Seriously, authentic Italian pizza Marcos makes, and you can get that right now and all week on Marcos Pizza. So be sure and patronize those good folks. What else we got here? Yeah, Gibbs, Troy Sadowski wants to know. I mean, he's still not with the team per se. Now, indications we've gotten is that he is still part of the team. He's not in class, so he won't participate in the spring game. And I don't think Natrez Patrick is either. I think that's probably one of the we'll get some a little bit more clarity on that, I'm sure, from grudgingly from Coach Smart, but not seeing him prominent on any of these rosters. So we'll see what he looks like. We're going to be wrapping it up here pretty soon. Mitch McCarty may have a question. I don't know. Richard Smith tells me they have Marco's Pizza in Texas as well. They're popping up everywhere. Terrell Oliver wants to know about Riley Ridley. I think Riley Ridley is poised to have a great year. I think you'll see a lot of Riley Ridley on Saturday, especially if Terry Godwin is not available to run those X routes. I think you'll see Riley Ridley run a lot of that. And obviously, he was Georgia's #1 receiver in the SEC championship game. In the national championship game, excuse me. And, I think they're expecting big things from young Mr. Riley Ridley. What else we got here? Let's see, questions I might have missed. Bulldog Park. Jim Faulkner wants to know if I'm coming to Bulldog Park, which is where, of course, Brandon Adams and the Dog Nation Daily group will be before the game, early before the game. They'll come to the stadium eventually, and then they'll end up in Brandon's probably going to have his own helicopter getting him around, but I won't be there because I won't have a helicopter get around like Brandon does. I don't get treated like that. Hopefully I'll meet Brandon at some point at the stadium, and you'll be able to hear from me briefly before the game, but I'll be taking care of those written word duties more than anything else. Wow, look here. Zachary Ringel is in Korea till November, so he says he won't be back until the SEC championship game, so that's when he's going to catch it. Zachary Ringel, thank you so much for your service to our country. Who else we got? We got any new ones? I'm gonna have to wrap it up here. Seriously, I got to get out to take care of my business. Yeah, Blazevich is going to be. Richard Smith asking about Blazevich, our special guest in the post game. And it'll be great to hear from Jeb in that capacity. None of us have. He's an extremely intelligent guy. Probably make a great coach if he ends up going that way. I'm not sure he's given up 100% on playing football, but he'll have some great analysis after the game. And, of course, after you get done listening to him, then you can come back to Dog Nation and read my analysis of the game on Saturday. So let me wrap it up here. I'll keep looking for some last-minute questions. If somebody has something that really good that I forgot about, I probably should have mentioned. But otherwise, I want to thank Marco's Pizza #1. Don't forget, HD5092 is the promo code to get a extra large multiple cheese pizza for just $10.99 from Marcos.com. America's #1 pizza company. I want to thank them for sponsoring Towers Take on Facebook Live. Some questions here about LeCount. He's going to start with the black unit. So at the end of the day, he seems to have held on to his #1 safety position. Has had a good time, a good spring. So Yeah, and Gibbs is not going to play. I mentioned that earlier, Wesley. So for all the guys back in Atlanta in the studio, and for the Dog Nation team here in Athens and all about, I want to thank you guys for tuning in on Facebook, and we will see you at 6 o'clock our regular time, I believe, next Thursday for Towers Take, brought to you by Marco's Pizza. Thanks again, and we'll see y'all next time.